In the world of bandits, one name sends shivers down the spine of even the toughest men. The year was the 1980s, and a woman named Phoolan Devi ruled the Chambal Valley with an iron fist. Her mere presence made entire districts tremble in fear. But this path of crime wasn't chosen by Phoolan. Circumstances forced her into this life of vengeance. At just 11 years old, Phoolan was married off to a man nearly 4 times her age. This man subjected her to unimaginable abuse and torment. To add to her misery, her own family blamed her as a disgrace, suggesting she should drown herself. But the worst was yet to come. At 16, her own uncle handed her over to a group of bandits, leaving her at their mercy. They didn't hold back in their brutality, and she soon learned that her life would never be the same. But there comes a moment when a person breaks free from oppression. Phoolan, once a victim, transformed into a fierce warrior. With a red cloth tied around her head and a gun in her hand, she sought vengeance. She confronted her abusive husband in the middle of a busy street and left him for dead. The men from the village who had stripped her of her dignity faced the same fate. In a brutal act of retribution, she lined them up and executed them without a second thought. This is the story of Phoolan Devi, the woman known as the Bandit Queen, a figure revered by some and feared by others. Born on August 10, 1963, in a small village in Uttar Pradesh, Phoolan came from a Dalit family. Life was hard. They toiled in the fields of others to make ends meet. After her grandfather's death, her uncle seized the family land, subjecting them to further oppression. Even at 10, Phoolan was defiant, protesting against her uncle's tyranny. But this rebellion came at a price, leading to her early marriage. At just 11, she became the property of her husband, who treated her as nothing more than a servant. As the years rolled on, Phoolan endured relentless abuse. One day she gathered the courage to escape, only to be shunned by her family who deemed her a disgrace. Her uncle's cruelty continued, and after a violent confrontation, she ended up in jail. Jail didn't break her spirit, it only fueled her rage. Upon her release, she returned to find her husband had remarried and treated her with the same contempt. Desperate, she fled back to her uncle, who, seeking to rid himself of her, sold her to the bandits. At 16, Phoolan found herself among these ruthless outlaws. The gang's leader, Babu Gujar, saw her beauty and subjected her to further exploitation. But within this chaos, she found an ally in Vikram Malla, who taught her the ways of the bandit life. Together, they became a formidable duo, robbing the wealthy and helping the poor. Phoolan's notoriety skyrocketed, but so did her thirst for revenge. She targeted the very men who had wronged her, leading to a massacre that would echo throughout the nation. On February 14, 1981, she attacked a wedding, seeking out the men who had humiliated her. When they eluded her, she resorted to executing the remaining men in cold blood, triggering a nationwide frenzy. As Phoolan became a household name, she was no longer seen as just a bandit, but a symbol of resistance. The government's attempts to capture her turned into a farcical game of cat and mouse, with Phoolan always one step ahead. After years of evasion, facing mounting pressure, Phoolan finally decided to surrender. On February 12, 1983, she did so, not without setting conditions: her family's safety, a promise of fair treatment, and a dramatic public display. The day she surrendered, thousands gathered to witness the event, captivated by the woman who had turned from victim to outlaw and now to a figure of the law. Her life didn't end there. After spending years in prison and battling illness, Phoolan emerged in 1994 as a free woman, stepping into the political arena. She became a member of parliament, advocating for the rights of the marginalized, a stark contrast to her past. But the tale of Phoolan Devi is not just about her violent past. It's a story of survival, resilience, and the fight for justice. A woman who, against all odds, transformed from a victim into a powerful voice for the oppressed. Her legacy continues to resonate, reminding us of the fight against injustice and the power of relentless spirit.